Hello and welcome once again to Plumbing 2, where we talk about the code. This video will be concerning Chapter 5, water heaters. And as I've stated several times before to you in the class, Chapter 5 is one of the more difficult chapters in the code book, and we could essentially go an entire semester on this chapter. So what we will be doing, however, is doing an abbreviated tour of Chapter 5, and we will be hitting just a few code sections that are of relative importance and discuss those. So we'll start off with section 501.1, applicability. The regulations of this chapter shall govern the construction, location, and installation of fuel burning and other types of water heaters heating potable water, together with chimneys, vents, and their connectors. The minimum capacity for a storage water heater shall be in accordance with the first hour rating listed in table 501.12. So the first hour rating, which is right here, the first hour rating is how much hot water can be created in an hour. That's an energy rating. And that's exactly how you would do, that's how you would size a water heater, is based on the first hour rating. No water heater shall be hereinafter installed that does not comply with the manufacturer's installation instructions, and the type and model of each size thereof approved by the authority having jurisdiction. A list of accepted water heater appliance standards is referenced in table 501.11. The listed appliance shall be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's installation instructions. So here is table 501.11, and as you can see, you have a list of standards that you would have to adhere to whatever type of water heater you are putting in. Okay? Mostly what we do is right there, gas, 75,000 BTU or less, and this would be the standard that we have to adhere to. Permits. It shall be unlawful for a person to install, remove, or replace, or cause to be installed, removed, or replaced a water heater without first obtaining a permit from the authority having jurisdiction to do so. In other words, you need a permit. Section 503, inspection. Inspection of the chimney or vent. This inspection shall be made after chimneys, vents, or parts thereof authorized by the permit have been installed and before such vent or part thereof has been covered or concealed. And then the final water heater inspection is the inspection shall be made after work authorized by the permit has been installed. The authority having jurisdiction will make sure inspection as deemed necessary to be assured that the work has been installed in accordance with the intent of this code. No appliance or part thereof shall be covered or concealed until the same has been inspected and approved by the authority having jurisdiction. So whatever you're installing, whatever's considered hooked up to the water heater, you have to make sure and ensure that it is exposed for the inspector to see. Now, before we get into the location and other water heater requirements, we are going to go down and scroll down to table 501.12. We're going to spend a little bit of time on this. Not too much, just a little bit. So here you have table 501.12, and this is how you are going to size your water heater. Let's say I have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. So I go here and I say, well, let's see, I've got how many bathrooms? 2. Okay. How many bedrooms? 2. So I have a first hour rating in gallons of 49. I have to have a water heater that is capable of creating 49 gallons of hot water in 1 hour. And that's really all you need to do. It's that simple. Let's do a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. So here we have number of bathrooms, 2.5. Number of bedrooms, 4. Total, 62 gallons per in your first hour rating. So that's what you need to do. That's what you need to be able to achieve. Does that mean that a 50-gallon water heater can actually create 62 gallons in 1 hour? Sure. You just need to make sure that it does. It's not to say I need a 62-gallon water heater. It's I need a water heater capable of making 62 gallons of hot water. All right, section 504. Point 1. Where water heater installations in bedrooms and bathrooms shall comply with one of the following. Water heater installations in bedrooms and bathrooms shall comply with one of the following. A fuel-burning water heater shall be permitted to be installed in a closet located in the bedroom or bathroom, provided the closet is equipped with a listed gasketed door assembly and a listed self-closing device. In other words, that door has got to shut by itself. The self-closing door assembly shall meet the requirements of section 504.1.1, which is down below highlighted, so we'll get to that in a second. The door assembly shall be installed with a threshold and a bottom door seal and shall meet the requirements of 504.1.2. It's the gasketing. We're not going to get into too much detail on that. The combustion air for such installations shall be obtained from the outdoors in accordance with 506.4, which we will get to. And the closet shall be for the exclusive use of the water heater. So that whole section pretty much says I can put a water heater in a closet in a bedroom, but I need to have a door that closes on its own and seals so no oxygen from the bedroom is being consumed by the burner, and all combustion air, all air that is used to burn the fuel, is to be supplied from outdoors. So that's what that one code section says. And then number 2, the water heater shall be of the direct vent type. So there you go. Self-closing doors. The self-closing door shall swing easily and freely and shall be equipped with a self-closing device to cause the door to close and latch each time it is opened. The closing mechanism shall not have a hold open feature. In other words, you can't prop that thing open, it's got to shut. Vents. 504.2. Water heaters of other than the direct vent type shall be located as close as practical to the chimney or gas vent. Let's turn the page. Ooh, we're starting to get into some illustrations in our code book. Clearance. Clearance requirements for water heaters shall comply with the following 2 sections. Listed water heater. So a water heater that is actually listed and it's, good to go. The clearances shall be, strike that. The clearances shall not be as to interfere with combustion air, draft hood clearance and relief, and accessibility for servicing. The listed water heater shall be installed in accordance with their listings and the manufacturer's installation instructions. You'll notice that in this chapter, above all other chapters, the manufacturer's installation instructions is mentioned several times because it supersedes the actual code book itself in almost all instances on this chapter. And then any unlisted water heater shall be installed with a clearance of 12 inches on all sides and the rear. The combustible floor under unlisted water heaters shall be protected in an approved manner. So this, let's see if we can draw something here. No, you know what? We're going to use We're going to use that. So, clearances. Let's have a water heater. So there's your water heater. I'm looking down on it. It's sitting inside an enclosed area. On a listed water heater, the clearances shall not be such as to interfere with combustion air, draft hood clearance and relief, and accessibility for servicing. So let's say that this is the door, and it swings open. So I can't have this set up to interfere with any accessibility. Also, let's use this side over here and maybe one side over here. I've got combustion air, so in other words, I got a duct that comes in from up above, and I got another one over here that comes up from up above. The water heater can't be like butt up against here. It needs to be able to give free movement of air. Okay, that's what they mean by that. With the unlisted water heater, you need to have a clearance on all sides of 12 inches. Okay? 12 inches. 12 inches. You see what I mean? So that's the unlisted one. WH for water heater. Almost looks like a robot that way. Pressure limiting devices. A water heater installation shall be provided with overpressure protection using an approved listed device installed in accordance with the terms of its listing and the manufacturer's installation instructions. Temperature limiting devices. So here we have a pressure limiting device, which means if it goes above a certain pressure, it needs to release that pressure. And then the temperature limiting device. A water heater installation or a hot water storage vessel installation shall be provided with over temperature protection by means of an approved listed device installed in accordance with the terms of its listing and the manufacturer's installation instructions. So here's a temperature limiting device. Your typical pressure release and your temperature release will be pretty consistent. Okay, the temperature release is going to be 210 degrees. The pressure release is 150 degrees, 150 psi, excuse me. Temperature, pressure, and vacuum relief devices. The temperature, pressure, and vacuum relief device or combination thereof and automatic gas shutoff device shall be installed in accordance with the terms of their listings and the manufacturer's installation instructions. A shutoff valve shall not be placed between the relief valve and the water heater or on the discharge pipes between such valves and the atmosphere. So in other words, you have a temperature and pressure relief valve that's tied in directly to the side of the water heater. You are not allowed to put a piece of pipe in off the water heater, put a valve in there, and then put another little piece of pipe, and then the temperature and pressure relief valve. You're not allowed to do that because you cannot isolate the temperature and pressure relief. Okay. Plus, they also mentioned that you are not to place anything on the discharge pipe between the valve and the atmosphere. In other words, you can't put a cap on it because if you put a cap on it, it's not gonna release. It's just gonna stay pressurized. There's no point. What's the point, right? So you need to leave it open to atmosphere so it can bleed out and do its job. The hourly BTU or British thermal unit discharge capacity of the rated steam relief capacity of the device shall be not less than the input rating of the water heater. Discharge piping shall be installed in accordance with section 608.5. If you'd like, we could go over to section 608.5 and discuss it briefly as to what we can and cannot do and how we can do it. So let's go ahead and cruise over to 608.5. Right there. The discharge piping serving a temperature relief valve, pressure relief valve, or combination of both shall have no valves, obstructions, or means of isolation and be provided with the following: equal to the size of the valve outlet and discharge full size to the flood level of the area receiving the discharge and pointing down. So it has to be the same size as the temperature relief valve. It needs to run undiminished to the discharge point and pointing straight down, not up. Number 2, the material shall be rated at not less than the operating temperature of the system. Makes sense because you don't want it to melt. Number 3, the discharge pipe shall discharge independently by gravity through an air gap into the drainage system or outside the building, with the end of the pipe not exceeding 2 feet and not less than 6 inches above the ground and pointing downwards. So it's always pointing downwards because you don't want it to come shooting out in your face. You don't want to go higher than 2 feet and you don't want to go lower than 6 inches. Number 4, the discharge in such a manner that does not cause personal injury or structural damage. So, okay, even though it says 6 inches high, minimum, what if you dumped it out, say, right next to a door, and it discharged, and it was in the middle of the summer, and this poor kid's running around in bare feet? He's going to get hurt. So that's what they're saying about not putting it somewhere where it's going to cause any kind of injury or structural damage. Number 5, no part of such discharge pipe shall be trapped or subject to freezing. Number 6, the terminal end of the pipe shall not be threaded. This one's interesting because people, the automatic assumption is, well, what if I'm just using threaded pipe? Why can't I just have it threaded? Because somebody can come up if it's dripping and thread in a cap. You can't do that. Number 7, discharge from a relief valve into a water heater pan shall be prohibited. So number 7 is very important. We're going to talk about a water heater pan in a little bit. But most people will sit there and they will run the discharge from the temperature and pressure relief valve into the drain pan. You cannot do that, okay? Not a good idea. Let's see, where are we now? Okay, so it goes into oil burning and other water heaters. We're not going to talk about those. We're going to get straight into air for combustion and ventilation. 506.1. Air for combustion, ventilation, and dilution of flue gases for appliances installed in buildings shall be obtained by application of one of the methods covered in these following code sections. Where the requirements of section 506.2 are not met, outdoor air shall be introduced in accordance with methods covered in section 506.4 through 506.7.3. The exception is, this provision shall not apply to direct vent appliances. 506.1.1. Appliances of other than natural draft design appliances not designated as Category 1 vented appliances and appliances equipped with power burners shall be provided with combustion, ventilation, and dilution air in accordance with the appliance manufacturer's instructions. So anything that has its own little motor for exhaust, it has to be put in per the manufacturer's instructions. Okay? Makeup air. Where an exhaust fan, clothes dryer, or kitchen ventilation system interfere with the operation of the appliance, makeup air shall be provided. So in other words, let's say your water heater is in the garage, and in the garage you have your clothes dryer and maybe an exhaust fan just to get some of the heat out of the garage during the summer. Well, what that does is that creates a draft, and that pulls oxygen out of the room, and that pulls the combustion air away from the water heater, therefore not giving it the fuel needed to maintain its proper working order. So in order to alleviate that, you need to put in makeup air. Look, here's some of those equations I was telling you about. Look, there goes some of the equations I was telling you about. Okay, 506.2. Indoor combustion air. The required volume of indoor air shall be determined in accordance with the method in 506.21 or 506.22, except that where an air infiltration rate is known to be less than 0.48 air change per hour, ACH, the method in 506.22 shall be used. The total required volume shall be the sum of the required volume calculated for all appliances located within the space. Rooms communicating directly with the space in which the appliances are installed through openings not furnished with doors and through combustion air openings sized and located in accordance with 506.3 are considered a part of the required volume. So there's one of the bigger technical code sections, and I brought that up because I wanted you to see we could spend a lot of time calculating our air requirement. Okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to bring it up a little bit here in 506.21. The required volume shall be not less than 50 cubic feet per 1,000 BTUs. So if I have a 50,000 BTU furnace, okay, a furnace water heater, how many cubic feet of air requirement do I need? $50, and then it's, what is it? 50 per 1,000. So I said 50,000. So that's 50,000s. So that's going to be what? 0 and then 0 and 25. So we have 2,500 cubic feet of air. Okay. What does that mean for us? Well, we're going to get to that. We could go through and do this entire equation, but we're not going to, because we're sticking to the basics here. 506.3, indoor opening size and location. Openings used to connect indoor spaces shall be sized and located in accordance with the following. Each opening shall have a free area of not less than 1 square inch per 1,000 BTUs of the total input rating of the appliance in the space. So we said it was 50,000. So I have 1 square inch per 1,000 BTUs. That is what? 50 square inches. So I have to have an opening of 50 square inches between, okay, each opening used to connect indoor spaces has to be for a 50,000 BTU water heater, 50 square inches. Oh, there's more to it. Sorry. So 100 BTUs is the total input rating of appliances in the space, but not less than 100 square inches. So even though it's a 50,000 BTUs and I need 50 square inches, I can't be less than 100 square inches. So I have to do 100 square inches. And 100 square inches is not that much. It's 10 inches by 10 inches. That's 100 square inches. Okay? And again, we're talking about combustion air, the free movement of air between two separate rooms. Okay? One opening shall commence within 12 inches of the top of the enclosure, and one opening shall commence within 12 inches of the bottom of the enclosure. So remember, we have that closet, right? So we have this closet. I'm talking about these little combustion air deals right here. Here, there's one over here. So one of them has to start up 12 inches from the top. The other one starts 12 inches from the bottom. The dimension of air openings shall be not less than 3 inches. So what they're saying there is I have to be at least, so you have to have at least 100 square inches, right? But the dimension of the air opening shall be not less than 3 inches. And if this is supposed to be 100, how many inches is this going to be? Roughly 34 inches. So there's your opening, 3 by 34. That gives you your 100 square inches. Actually, it's a little more than that, but 33 would be less. So, you follow me? And then number 2. The volume of spaces in different stories shall be considered as communicating spaces where such spaces are connected by one or more openings in the door or floor, having a total free area of not less than 2 square inches per 1,000 BTUs. So now, as we're going through 2 different stories, okay, upstairs, downstairs, we have to increase 2 square inches per 1,000 BTUs, okay? So you're making it double. Outdoor combustion air. So now we're going from an indoor combustion air situation. Okay, so this drawing right here, here's your opening at the top, here's your opening at the bottom, here's an indoor area that you can actually draw air from. Okay, that's what they're talking about. Now, we're going to talk about outdoor combustion air. Outdoor combustion air shall be provided through openings to the outdoors in accordance with the following code sections. The dimension of the air opening shall be not less than 3 inches. So we go back to that whole 3-inch deal. If I have 2 permanent openings, okay, 2 permanent openings, one commencing 12 inches at the top and the other one 12 inches at the bottom, the opening shall communicate directly or by duct with the outdoors or spaces that freely communicate with the outdoors as follows. Number 1, we're directly communicating with the outdoors or we're communicating to the outdoors through vertical ducts. Each opening shall have a minimum free area of 1 square inch per 4,000 BTUs. So now we're actually making a smaller penetration. 1 square inch per 4,000 BTUs of total input rating of all appliances in the enclosure. We're doing that because we're pulling the air, we're pulling from outside. It's fresh air. It's not like an inside air situation. Okay? Let's see if we have 5064. Here is 506.4.1. 1. So this is one we just talked about. You have outdoor outlet air going up into the attic, right? Then you have inlet air coming in from down below. And then you have an alternate air inlet over here. So they're actually, they're covering most bases. So here's your ventilation louver. And here's your ventilation louvers down below. You wondered what those were for. Those were for fresh air, air movement. Where they're communicating with the outdoors through horizontal ducts, each opening shall have a minimum free air area of 1 square inch per 2,000 BTUs. So now, this same situation right here, 50641, without duct, it's 1 square inch per 4,000 BTUs. If I'm using ductwork, then it's 1 for every 2,000. So we want to make sure that the ductwork, because you're confining it and you're having to take it from the duct, it's actually going to be a larger size. Okay. 50642, 1 permanent opening method. So now we're going from 2 openings to 1 opening. 1 permanent opening commencing within 12 inches of the top of the enclosure shall be provided. The appliance shall have clearances of at least 1 inch from the sides and back and 6 inches from the front of the appliance. The opening shall directly communicate with the outdoors or shall communicate through a vertical or horizontal duct to the outdoors or spaces that freely communicate with the outdoors, and shall have a minimum free area of the following: 1 square inch per 3,000 BTUs of total input rating of all appliances located in the enclosure, and not less than the sum of the areas of all vent connectors in the space. And that is 50642, which is that guy. This guy. Okay. Moving on. I'm sorry, wrong one. Strike that. That one. 50642. I was like looking at it going, what is that air inlet duct? That doesn't make sense, not from what I just said. So here you go right here. 1 opening. Now they have this opening here, but they have an alternate opening location. So you have to go here or you can go here. Okay? That's your alternate. The required, section 506.8, the required size of openings for combustion, ventilation, and dilution air shall be based on the net free area of each opening, where the free area through a design of louver, a grill, or screen is known. It shall be used in calculating the size opening required to provide the free area specified. Where the louver and the grill design and free area are not known, it shall be assumed that a wood louver has 25% free area and a metal louver and grill has 75% free area. Non-motorized louvers and grills shall be fixed in the open position. So what they're saying here is wherever we go and whatever we have here, you know, you see these ventilated louvers, right? And these louvers. That's what we're talking about. So we need this required space and the distance and everything, and how much, how big are these openings supposed to be? Well, let's say that I needed, well, let's use 10 by 10. So let's say I needed a 10 by 10 louver, okay? And I am going to be using wood. Well, the wood is only 25% of the free area. So I have to be much larger than this in order to get 100. Right? So in order to get 100 square inches of free area, it only covers 25%. So this is going to have to essentially be 400 square inches. So I take 25% of 400 square inches to achieve that, because that only gives me 25% free area. Okay? Now the other one is 75%. Excuse me. Okay? So 75% of free area means I don't even have to go that big. I don't have to go that big. All I have to do is add this and make it 125 square inches. Okay? So 125 square inches will give me my 100 square inches. 400 square inches, if it's wood, will give me my 100 square inches. Minimum screen mesh size. Screens shall be not less than 1/4 of an inch mesh. So all of these louvers have to have a screen, okay? And this screen is going to be 1/4 of an inch mesh. However, let's take a look at combustion air ducting. They have to comply with this, okay, with these numbers, 506.9. Everything needs to be in compliance when you're doing combustion air ducts here. Number 1, the duct shall be constructed of galvanized steel or a material having equivalent corrosion resistance, strength, and rigidity. Exception is within a dwelling unit, obstructed stud and joist space shall not be prohibited from conveying combustion air, provided that not more than one fire block is removed. So you can use a stud wall, but you cannot remove more than one fire block. Number 2, the duct shall terminate in an unobstructed space, allowing free movement of combustion air to the appliances. Okay, so it's got to be an unobstructed. Number 3, the duct shall serve a single space. So the duct that you're using for combustion air can't be used for like 2 or 3 different closets. It's the one and that's it. Ducts shall not serve both upper and lower combustion air openings where both such openings are used. The separation between the ducts serving upper and lower combustion air shall be maintained to the source of the combustion air. Number 5, ducts shall not be screened where terminating in an attic space. So if I'm terminating up in an attic, I have to maintain it's wide open, okay? No screens. Where it says the screen shall be not less than 1/4 of an inch in mesh, where it terminates up in an attic, you're not putting a screen on it, because if it's blown in insulation, it'll go right over that mesh and block and impede the combustion air from getting in. So it has to be free and open up in the attic. Number 6, combustion air intake openings located on the exterior of the building shall have the lowest side of the combustion air intake openings located at least 12 inches vertically from the adjoining finished ground level. Number 7, horizontal upper combustion air ducts shall not slope downward toward the source of combustion air. Make sense? Number 8, the remaining space surrounding a chimney liner, gas vent, special gas vent, or plastic piping installed within a masonry, metal, or factory-built chimney shall not be used to supply combustion air, with an exception. Direct vent appliances designed for installation in a solid fuel-burning fireplace where installed in accordance with the manufacturer's installation instructions. Section 507. Appliance and equipment installation requirements. 507.1. The authority having jurisdiction shall have the authority to require the use of an approved dielectric insulator on the water piping connection of water heaters and related water heating appliances. Seismic provisions. In seismic design categories C, D, E, and F, water heaters shall be anchored or strapped to resist horizontal displacement due to earthquake motion. Strapping shall be at the points within the upper 1/3 and lower 1/3 of its vertical dimensions. At the lower point, a distance of not less than 4 inches shall be maintained from the controls with the strapping. So you have to be at least 4 inches away from all the controls. Let's see here. Ground support. A water heater supported from the earth shall rest on level concrete or other approved base extending not less than 3 inches above the adjoining ground level. So if I'm sitting on the ground, I need to be at least 3 inches high. 507.5, the drainage pan. Where a water heater is located in an attic, in or on an attic ceiling assembly, floor to ceiling assembly, or floor to subfloor assembly where damage results from a leaking water heater, a watertight pan of corrosion-resistant materials shall be installed beneath the water heater with not less than 3/4 of an inch diameter drain to an approved location. Such pan shall be not less than 1.5 inches in depth. So, the drainage pan, that doesn't mention anything about the installation of your water heater in a garage. So I have a garage. I have a water heater in the garage. Do I have to have a drain pan under it? No, because if it leaks, what's it going to damage? The concrete floor? you have to look at this, and it says right here, attic ceiling assembly, floor ceiling assembly. So if it leaks in the attic, where's the damage going to go? It's going to go into the ceiling space. It's going to go into the living area, right? What about the floor ceiling assembly? So if I mount it on a floor, but down below there's a ceiling, that's damage, right? Or a floor to a subfloor assembly. So there's a subfloor or a basement, right? That's damage. So that's damage resulting from a leaking water heater. If it leaks in the garage, you're not going to get anything. Therefore, the drain pan is not required in a garage. I feel very compelled to tell people that because they automatically assume because I'm putting a water heater in a garage, I have to have it. It's not the case. 507.13. Obviously, I'm skipping over a lot here, but in the interest of time, and like I said, we can spend an entire semester on this. We're just going to go ahead and cover some of the important stuff. 507.13. Installation in a residential garage. Appliances in residential garages and in adjacent spaces that open to the garage and are not part of the living space of a dwelling unit shall be installed so that all burners and burner ignition devices are located not less than 18 inches above the floor unless listed as flammable vapor ignition resistant. There's your stand and not drain pan. So if it's in the garage, put it at 18 inches up. Well, that's where the burner sits, 18 inches. 507.13.1. Physical damage. Appliances installed in the garage, warehouse, or other areas subject to mechanical damage shall be guarded against such damage by being installed behind protective barriers or by being elevated or located out of normal path of vehicles. So if you look in a garage, if the water heater's at the very end of the garage, you'll see like a bollard, you know, like a post, and it's there to keep physical damage from occurring, you know, somebody driving into the water heater. Also, I brought this up one time, and one of the students believed me, so I only bring it up in jest. The other way to protect your water heater, so here's your water heater, right? There's your water heater sitting on a little stand, and you know, there you go. So there's your water heater. The other way to protect your water heater from getting hit by a car and we'll call this a Cadillac. All right. So there's your car. You have coming down, and I said it was code approved, and the student actually believed me. You put a little string with a ball on it, and when the ball hits the window, that's when you stop. And it's to keep you from hitting your water heater, and that's what I told the student. Obviously, that's not the case. I mean, they do put that in there the old school way. A lot of the older homes, they'll have a string with a ball, just so that when you're backing up and you see the ball hit the back window, you know to stop so you don't hit the back wall. But in all reality, what you have is a post. It sits right in there in the garage, and it keeps you from hitting your water heater. Let's see, what else do we have? Hey, guess what? That's it on that page. Clearance to combustible materials. Sorry. Appliances and their vent connectors shall be installed with clearances from combustible materials so their operation does not create a hazard to persons or property. The minimum clearance between combustible walls and the back and sides of various conventional types of appliances and their vent connectors are specified in section 509. And believe it or not, we actually covered just a little bit of 509. Installation of appliances on a roof. Appliances shall be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's installation instructions. Excuse me. Sorry. 508.2.1. Appliances shall be installed on a well-drained surface of the roof. At least 6 feet of clearance shall be available between any part of the appliance and the edge of a roof or similar hazard, or rigidly fixed rails, guards, parapets, or other building structures at least 42 inches in height shall be provided on the exposed side. So in other words, they want that water heater at least 6 feet away from the edge because they don't want you to fall. If it can't be 6 feet away, or if it has to be closer than 6 feet, then you got to put up a 42-inch guardrail, and you know. All right. The appliances located on the roofs shall be accessible. Buildings exceeding 15 feet in height shall have an inside means of access to the roof unless other means acceptable to the authority are used. The access type. The inside means of access shall be a permanent or fold-away inside stairway or ladder terminating in an enclosure, scuttle, or trapdoor. Such scuttle or trapdoor shall be at least 22 inches by 24 inches in size, shall open easily and safely under all conditions, especially snow, and shall be constructed so as to permit access from the roof side unless deliberately locked on the inside. At least 6 feet of clearance shall be available between the access opening and the edge of the roof, or rigidly fixed rails and all that other guardrail stuff, 42 inches, shall be provided. So, same requirements apply for your access as do the water heater. That's essentially what they're saying. The permanent lighting. Permanent lighting shall be provided at the roof access. The switch for such lighting shall be located inside the building near the access means leading to the roof. And that's how you get up to the roof if you have a rooftop unit. Appliances in the attic and under a floor space. An attic or under floor space in which an appliance is installed shall be accessible through an opening and passageway, not less than as large as the largest component of the appliance, and not less than 22 by 30. So if I need to get into the attic, okay, it can't be less than the largest part of the water heater. So if my water heater is 36 inches in diameter, guess what my access has to be? 36 inches in diameter, at least 36 inches, okay? Because if it's not, you're never getting it out, and you're never going to replace it. The length of the passageway. So again, we're still up in the attic, okay? Where the height of the passageway is less than 6 feet, the distance from the passageway access to the appliance shall not exceed 20 feet, measured along the center line of the passageway. The width of the passageway. The passageway shall be unobstructed and shall have solid flooring not less than 24 inches wide from the entrance opening to the appliance. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like crawling around in attics, especially when there's no work passage. You have to sit there and walk on the joists. And I have actually fallen, you know. So here you got your joists, right? And they're separated. You know, and you have to walk on them, and it sucks because if you miss, you fall through, and believe me, you can fall through. I have fallen through an attic before in my apprenticeship. So this is telling me that we have to have, if our water heater's in the attic, we have to have a passageway that's 24 inches wide, so we're not walking on the joists. And then the work platform itself, 50843. A level working platform not less than 30 inches by 30 inches shall be provided in front of the service side of the appliance. So they're being really nice here in the code by dictating, hey, you want us up in the attic to work on this thing, you better give us something to work on. Lighting and a convenience outlet. A permanent 120 volt receptacle outlet and a lighting fixture shall be installed near the appliance. The switch controlling the light fixture shall be located at the entrance of the passageway, so it lights your way. The venting of an appliance. Prohibited discharge. Appliance vents shall not discharge into a space enclosed by screens having openings less than 1/4 inch mesh. Let's go over here. Direct vent appliances. Listed direct vent appliances shall be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's installation instructions and section 509.8.2. Direct vent is a situation where you have air moving in it's like a double containment deal. Okay, so you're going to have I hope I can draw this right for you. So you're going to have like some kind of a deal out here, right? And air is going to be coming in. So air will come in here, and this will be all tied in. See, it's looking convoluted. Here, let's do this. Let's darken this part. Okay. So there's your venting out. Okay, direct vent is this comes in, and then as everything comes out of the water heater or appliance, as everything comes out this way, the air is coming in from the outside and helping draw it out. So this is coming out of the water heater, and this duct or piping is actually helping draw this out by coming in from the outside and sucking it all out. Type of venting system to be used. So we are going to look at your appliance, okay, and then the type of venting system, and then the location of the requirements. Okay, we want, say, a category 1 appliance that gets a type V gas vent, and that goes to section 509.6. Here's a listed vented wall furnace. So it's just a regular wall furnace, right? So what the hell is a wall furnace doing in a code section or a code chapter on water heaters? Because this chapter, this chapter, chapter 5, doesn't deal with just water heaters. It deals with exhausts, combustion air, and anything that's a gas burning appliance like a wall furnace, okay, or a boiler, or in tankless water heaters. Those are all things that burn fuel and need to be vented out. Okay. And then we also have the direct vent appliance. Okay. And these are the little higher end. These are the ones that, like a tankless water heater, can be considered a direct vent appliance. We go to section 509.2.6, okay, which we already talked about. Right there, right? Says listed things need to be done by the manufacturer's installation instructions and section 509.8.2. So then we go back to 509.8.2. We'll all right, we'll go to it. What the hell? But then we're going to have to backtrack a little bit. So, 509.8. We're going to get here, but let's read here first, okay? A mechanical draft venting system shall terminate at least 3 feet above any forced air inlet located within 10 feet. Okay, with an exception. Exceptions are the provision shall not apply to combustion air intake or direct vent appliance. Okay, so we're talking direct vent. And then the provision shall not apply to the separation of the integral outdoor air inlet and flue gas discharge of the listed outdoor appliance. Now let's read 509.8.2 because I'm sure you're pretty confused right now. We are talking about the venting, not the combustion air anymore. We're talking about venting and exhaust, getting rid of the CO2. The vent terminal of a direct vent appliance with an input of 10,000 BTUs or less shall be located at least 6 inches from any air opening into a building. An appliance with an input over 10,000 but not over 50,000 shall be installed with a 9-inch vent termination clearance, and an appliance with an input over 50,000 BTUs shall have at least a 12-inch vent termination clearance. The bottom of the vent terminal and the air intake shall be located at least 12 inches above finished ground level. So, all of these numbers, all of this stuff, it points to this. Okay? This is actually really cool. So this is for direct venting. Let's say you have a tankless water heater and you got to run your vent out somewhere, right? You don't want to go up and through the roof because it's got the mechanical draft motor in it. Let's say it's 50,000 BTUs, right? So if we read over here, direct vent termination or terminal clearances minimum, right? So for C, which is your clearance C right here, here's your termination, little pipe coming out of the wall, minimum 12 inches above the finished floor. Well, the minimum distance from the window for 10,001 to 50,000 is 9 inches. Okay? What about here? What is this? What's this one? This is for mechanical draft vent terminals. So the mechanical draft vent terminals are a little bit different, 509.8.1. We're doing direct vent. And it's really cool because this explains a lot as far as where I can terminate my venting for a direct vent water heater based on its BTUs, okay? And away from a door or away from a window. We're going to go and kick all the way back here and go back to where we were before. And that was, I believe, here. Gas vents. The installation of gas vents shall meet the following requirements. Gas vents shall be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's installation instructions, always. A type BW gas vent shall have a listed capacity not less than that of the listed vented wall furnace to which it is connected. So a BW gas vent Let's say that's a stud bay. Okay, if I'm going to run a B vent through this stud bay, you know, most stud walls are what, 2x4? So how can I get like a 6-inch exhaust or a 4-inch exhaust on a B vent? A B vent looks like this. You have your exhaust, and then you have also another covering around it. And this is very similar in the direct vent design, because this outdoor air, this outdoor section here, actually acts as an insulatory agent to where it draws the heat on out of the ducting. It just draws it right out. It's crazy how it works. It's kind of cool. So a BW is a B vent, but designed to go inside a stud bay, and it's oval in shape. Okay, the same setup as a B vent, but like I said, the darkened area is your exhaust on both, and the outer area is there to aid in the, it's a flue action. It literally draws it out. And so that's what we're talking about with a type BW gas vent. And then you have also number 3, the gas vent installed within masonry chimneys shall be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's installation instructions. Again, right back to the manufacturer, right? The gas vent installed within masonry chimneys shall be identified with a permanent label installed at the point where the vent enters the chimney. The label shall contain the following language: this gas vent is for appliances that burn gas. Do not connect to solid or liquid fuel burning appliances or incinerators. And then number 4, the screws, rivets, and other fasteners shall not penetrate the inner wall of a double wall gas vent except at the transition from the appliance draft hood outlet, flue collar, or single wall metal connector to double wall vent. Termination requirements. A gas vent shall terminate in accordance with one of the following. Number 1, the gas vents that are 12 inches or less in size and located not less than 8 feet from a vertical wall or similar obstruction shall terminate above the roof in accordance with Figure 50961 and Table 50961. There's 50961. You have to have a cap, you have to have your listed gas vent there, and then you have H, which is the minimum height from the roof to the lowest discharge. The pitch of the roof is X over 12. And then you go through here and you're like, all right, well, what's my roof pitch? And then here's your minimum height. So a pitch of a roof that is 612 to 712. The minimum height is 1.25 inches. Now that's not much of a pitch. You know what I mean? That's what, 45, right? 6 and 12. 6 up, 12 over, right? So it's not much of a pitch. It's not even a 45. It's actually less than a 45. That's 22. Okay, sorry. Moving on. So anyways, there's your table for that. Gas vents that are 12 inches in size or are located less than 8 feet from a vertical wall or similar obstruction shall terminate not less than 2 feet above the highest point where they pass through the roof and not less than 2 feet above any portion of a building within 10 feet. So here now you have a situation where you're terminating less than 8 feet from a vertical wall, then you have to take that thing up at least 2 feet. Industrial appliances is provided in 50925, 50926. Let's see, integral vents, mechanical draft systems. The ventilating hoods and exhaust systems are provided in 50934 and 509-341. So these are just ventilating hoods and exhaust hoods. They're not even water heater termination points, but it's still a termination requirement that goes up through the roof. Okay? Then you have type B and L vents. A type B or type L gas vent shall terminate at least 5 feet in vertical height above the highest connected appliance draft hood or flue collar. So the minimum distance, okay, that's what they're talking about here. Not how high above the roof. You know, they're not talking about from here. They're not talking about from here up. They're talking about total length. It needs to have at least 5 feet. Okay, a B vent needs to be at least 5 feet long. That's what they're talking about. Okay, and then the type BW, it needs to be at least 12 feet in vertical height above the bottom of the wall furnace. Above the bottom of the wall furnace. Okay. So then that's that. And turn the page, turn the page. And we go here. So section 509.8, sorry. Through the wall vent termination. A mechanical draft venting system shall terminate at least 3 feet above any forced air inlet located within 10 feet. Okay? So you have to be at least 3 feet high. Forced air inlet coming in. I have to be at least 3 feet high and at least within 10 feet. If it's within 10 feet, I have to be 3 feet high of the forced air inlet for a mechanical draft. Okay. And then we're going to go over to annular spaces, where vents, including those for direct vent appliances or combustion air intake pipes, penetrate outside walls or buildings. Penetrate outside walls of buildings. The annular spaces around such penetrations shall be permanently sealed using approved materials to prevent entry of combustion products into the building. So really all they're saying here is wherever you have a vent, including those for direct vent appliances, if it penetrates the outside wall, you gotta fireproof it or put in some fire caulking. The condensate drain. Provision shall be made to collect and dispose of condensate from venting systems serving a Category 2 and Category 4 appliance and non-categorized condensing appliances in accordance with Section 509A3. So a Category 2 water heater is the same as a Category 1, only that it is a higher efficiency creating condensate. Okay, and a Type 1 or a Category 1 is really just your natural draft basic water heater. Okay, and so that's how you categorize your water heaters. I certainly hope I'm done. Let's see. There's a lot of stuff in here, but it goes into a lot of detail as to location and what you do in those locations to actually do your heating and everything else. And so I'm not going to go into that. We are going to stop with the chapter 5. I emphasize, I can't emphasize enough, if you go through this code section, or if you go through this chapter rather, and you have any questions on any of the code sections, bring it to the table, bring it to the discussion, and we will discuss it in class together. Okay? But ask your questions, and then we will go ahead and discuss at this point. So, if there isn't anything else, go ahead and enjoy the rest of your day. We are going to be done with chapter 5 as soon as you finish watching this video and taking the test. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a lovely day.